There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Everybody, I'm Miss Jen, and you are on Talking Shop on the Experience, where we love to let you know about cool things that are coming up way ahead of time, so you can make sure to get it into your pull box, on your pull box list, on a wish list. Tell your local comic shop you want a thing. Get yourself all hyped up so you can know everything you need to know to never miss the coolest new books that are coming out. We're doing a little bit here as we get to the end of the year. We're going to focus in on some companies and talk to you about a lot of the things that they have coming out instead of single creators in the books they have coming out this week. So welcome to the show, Manny Castellanos.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Jen. Really, really appreciate it. I want to say also first, those commercials in the beginning are awesome. Really, really great quality.
Those are thanks to our production team. So they are very funny.
No, I like the joke one. The supply chain, all that stuff. It's very relatable.
Probably JD, who is our producer on this show right now.
It's a good one.
And occasionally shows up as a disembodied voice of God. So
there you go.
It does. So Manny, things are crazy in publishing right now with everyone scrambling to secure paper and rearrange release dates. Is it do you think it's a bigger problem for big publishers or a bigger problem for small publishers in your experience?
It's a problem in general, I'd say. I wouldn't say it's more of a problem for bigger or smaller. But it is a problem that we're all adjusting to. And really, it's kind of one of those things where you have to really just kind of stick by your printer and just really hope for the best in those situations.
Are they able to keep you like in the loop for specific?
We recently, MagCave recently went with Transcontinental for printing, and they handle books for Marvel. So overall, they've been. We haven't had any issues yet since we went on FOC. That's part of the reason why we switched to Transcontinental. So we haven't had an issue yet since that switch. Beforehand, there were some issues, but since then, we've been all good for now.
So walk me through like types of paper. Are people rotating to different kinds of paper than would be traditionally used, or is everyone still able to source normal comic related paper?
Admittedly, I'm not the best person to ask for that. That it would be more our publisher, Chris Fernandez, who deals with Transcontinental and all the printing orders. So I wouldn't necessarily know how to answer that. Sorry.
I didn't even really know until recently that there were comic books, which I understand is a little bit why it's not more a problem than it could be. That the book markets that's been drawing all the paper is a different kind of weight than what comic books need. So they're not button heads against each other to compete, at least.
Right. Yeah. You cut off a little bit, so I didn't understand the first part, but I think I understood what you were saying about like how like a lot of book publishers are taking a lot of the paper more than like comic books. There's a little bit of a lag. Can you hear me? See me?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Cool.
So I know that the way that publishers normally let the public know about what's coming up, or a bunch of different ways. If they're signed up for a newsletter, they'll get that newsletter. Or traditionally, it's been getting the word out there for conventions. Have you guys been able to go to any conventions this year and reach out? I think New York Comic Con was the last booth I saw for you guys.
Yeah, so the only con we've been to this year is New York Comic Con, and I wasn't there personally, but I've heard it was a great con for us. A lot of excitement. A lot of people were excited that we were there, that we were able to exhibit at New York. So just hearing a lot of warm, kind reception. But however, we were also recently, since we have a YA imprint and we're getting to the book market, we went to the famous Miami Book Fair, which is very local. We're based here in Miami. And that was a very, very successful fair for us. It was our first time going to a book fair, so we weren't really sure how that would necessarily work, like the type of like audience that goes to those events. But we definitely found like a group of readers, young readers especially, that have like a real hunger for YA type of storytelling that we were willing to offer.
So is that event focused on the public or more for like educators and librarians?
It's way more for the public. However, there are like educators and librarians there as well, but way more for like everyday people.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting to see educators are either like completely embracing it and saying we need more, please more. Anything we can get to have kids read is good.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then there's this other weird thing that's happening right now where there's this move to ban a bunch of stuff, which is so weird to me after so many years of not happening.
Right. Yeah. And like, I mean, the history of comics is the history of like censorship and banning and all that stuff. So it is a little bit disheartening, but in my experience with every educator and librarian I've spoken to, it's always been such like a warm, positive reception. It's really more like parents you have to convince to really get their kids into seeing the value of comic books in general. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like whenever I have parents come in and give kind of like I don't know about this form of reading. It was like, hey man, I grew up reading cereal boxes, and my parents said that was reading, and I became a very avid reader. It's like I'd read anything. So. Right.
No, it's just like, and what's great about comics, I find personally, is that it's a visual medium, so it really does teach kids, young readers, just like better like media literacy, and understand what art is really trying to convey through characters, like emotions, faces, all that good stuff that makes comics as great as they are.
Yeah, it helps the kids, I think, learn storytelling because it has a little bit extra of a cue for how a story is laid out. And then when they want to write their own that's just without pictures, if they do, they can probably help them to imagine it, I think.
Yeah, it was just something. I mean, I've tried my hand at both in my own experience. So different skill sets a little bit, but both really fun and just both encourage, fun storytelling.
Oh, yeah. So tell everybody what your background is and how you came to work with Mad Cave.
Right. So I am with Mad Cave Studios. I'm the director of sales for Mad Cave Studios. I work alongside retailers, making sure our comic books are in as many comic book stores as possible. Yes. But I come from working in a comic book store also back when I was like in my early days of college. And Mad Cave now I'm coming up at 3 years now being with Mad Cave. And 3 years ago, they contacted me because they saw my resume that I worked at a comic book store and they needed someone who knew the ins of the industry, was able to talk to retailers and communicate with them that they didn't have that experience before. And I interviewed, they hired me, and I've been doing my best job at Nike ever since.
We're gonna move you out now.
And it's just been a great, great ride. I've to see the company grow from when I first started. When I joined 3 years ago, we only had 2 books out, right? Or 3, I should say 3. And now we have over 20 in the span of 3 years, and we've just gotten bigger and better. And that's not gonna stop for next year either.
Oh, I'm excited to hear that. So we are actually here specifically to talk about what to look forward to for the new year, so people can get it on their pull box now, especially since it looks like there's not going to be a lot of print overruns, and that the print run's probably going to be taken up pretty quickly for people that are just catching up. What is your favorite things that are coming out this next year?
So right now, I'm going to talk about probably the most immediate one, which is Speed Republic. It's actually available for pre-order now. I would share with you like some of the older promo materials we created for it, but we sent most of them out already to stores. But Speed Republic is a fun miniseries written by Ryan K. Lindsay and art by Emanuele Parascandolo. He's Italian. And it's set in a dystopian Europe where the 99% are kind of like forced to compete in this death race across all of Europe for a chance to win a life of luxury and to be part of that 1% that a lot of people dream of being. However, some racers have ulterior motives, and they want to win the game, or the race, I should say, to kind of bring the system down. And we are following this character named Seb Valencia, who is debating on whether he wants to bring it down or get the glory for himself. And it's really just kind of like that will he, won't he situation. And it's fun, it's loud, it's very much like Mad Max meets like Speed Racer.
I like that it's also like a kind of like a little bit sociological, discussion about what people.
It's a little bit timely.
Yeah.
It's a little bit timely, but I will say it's not cynical, which I think is very important. I should mention. While there's stuff that's definitely like sucks and like people should sadly relate to, there is definitely like an optimism to the book, and you're gonna have fun reading. There's a issue where like it's all like he eats like an edible like chocolate, and he trips out, and he's like driving while he's tripping out, so it's like a weird issue, but it's a lot of fun.
I mean, we do read books to escape, right?
I'm sorry?
We do read comic books to escape, so. It's
true. Exactly. It's exactly that. But this also has a hopeful message, definitely, for sure. And we have a bunch of other stuff. I'm gonna go kind of like in the release order. So Speed Republic issue 1 comes out February 2nd, and it's available for pre-order now. And after that, we have our 3rd YA graphic novel called World Class. And that's a very fun one. It's coming of age sports drama following a young Colombian soccer player who's given a chance to play soccer at a English private elite school. And there he has to overcome, the team bully, his anxiety, his classwork, and really a lot of these problems that he starts facing start to form his own insecurities. He doesn't know if he's good enough, and he doesn't know if he really belongs there. And it's stuff that like a lot of young adults could relate to, and stuff I still relate to, honestly. But through the help of friends and family, he's able to kind of persevere. It's very much, if you're familiar with the manga Haikyuu, which is a volleyball story, which I just recently started the anime, and it's so fun and wholesome. It's a lot like that. Again, we're a group of friends, kind of this, how do I say, bros being good bros, and it's very wholesome in that. And it's also a lot like Ted Lasso, kind of like if you're familiar with that show on Apple Plus, where it's a fish out of water story going going to England and just trying to overcome all of the obstacles and expectations people have for you. And it's just a fun book. It's very heavily inspired by manga and specifically haiku. So you'll see those like splash page dynamic kicks and like goals and all that stuff. That's just really, really cool. And after that, we have probably our most popular series yet and our high selling series, which is Nottingham. Nottingham is returning for volume 2. And I really, really can't wait. You know, it's impossible to choose a favorite of like Nike titles since you have so much, but I can't deny that like the Nottingham's like top 3 for sure. This kind of, you know, for those who aren't familiar, this is like Robin Hood with like a Game of Thrones intrigue, and volume 2 definitely has way more of those political machinations involved, where it's so good. The Sheriff of Nottingham has to team up with Robin Hood to get the ransom of King Richard and bring him back to England alive from like the Holy Roman Emperor in Italy. It's just like this whole like misadventure that's dark and brutal, and we're really stepping up our Nottingham content, I should say, where we're also going to have a free comic book day issue of Nottingham, written by the same series writer David Hazan. However, Shane Volk is still doing volume 2, but the free comic day issue is being illustrated by Andrea Muti, who you may know from books like Funny Mask, Maniac in New York, and yeah, he agreed to do this free comic day issue, and I'll tease just now that you could see Andrea Muti in other Man Cave projects in the future. And I feel
conflict in my brain because I love the original artist for that series.
I do too. It's only for one issue though. It's only for a free comic day issue. I talk about the free comic day issue because like the news was recently dropped last week, and it's basically there's a murder in Christmas in Nottingham, and like the sheriff has to investigate, and it's just a really bloody good time.
It's like Forensic Files.
I'm sorry?
It's like Forensic Files, but
a little bit, yeah. I mean, yeah, the Nottingham was almost called Nottingham Noir because of that like detective like noir angle that the book has. And I am actually really happy to say that you'll be the first to know, outside of people at Man Cave, that we are actually moving forward with a hardcover of Nottingham.
Oh, good. Yes.
Yeah, we're having a lot of high hopes for this book, and the fans definitely seem to want more Nottingham, so that's not going to stop.
Well, I think it's a wise choice because I feel like Nottingham is probably right now, no slight to the other titles because they're all amazing, but I think it has a real chance of being an evergreen for comic shops, so a hardcover makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, and I was one that pushed that idea, not to like brag, but I was like definitely like, I think we need to do something more like with this. Like, let's really like hone in so that hardcover is going to come out just a month before volume 2, which comes out in April.
Will the hardcover have any like extra content or special things in it?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have a few extra content. What? I'm not at liberty to say just yet. But we'll have some really cool extra content. Me as a reader who collects hardcovers, I always look for like what other extra content they give me, and I would not be disappointed when I receive if I were to get that hardcover. So yeah, rest assured. Then going back to Maverick, our YA line, we have Good Game Well Played, which is very much a coming of age, slice of life book about a group of 5 friends who worked at a game store, like an arcade store in 1999, and they have to save the store from a greedy landlord by raising money and doing this event. And obviously, as things go, there's always drama. You can't have a coming of age story without like teen drama. And the group kind of splits up and they break apart. And 10 years later, they finally come back for a death, like for a funeral of one of the friends. and it's a story about really
Oh wow.
finding your true friends and apologizing and being held accountable for your actions of your past. And again, it's very sweet. It's written by Rachel Smith and illustrated by Catherine Lobo, I love Catherine Lobo's art. It's adorable. It's sweet. I wish I could share with you some of the promo materials we have, but they're like far away right now. But
So
yeah, that's
would we
probably.
know their work from something else?
I'm sorry.
Will we know their work from something else?
So they're both relatively new. However, and this is not like a slight against like any other artist, of course, but I firmly believe Catherine Lobo, the artist, has such a great like in-house. I use that quotes in-house style,
Yeah.
where I feel like she could like work on like a YA DC book in like the future like, easily because of her style, and like she puts a lot of fan art of like superheroes and all that stuff. So I really see her like taking off in the near future, for sure.
Oh, I can't wait.
And the last book I'll talk about, everything I'm talking about is basically kind of like the first half of the year, like stuff that's definitely like finalized. And the last half is called Potions Inc. Now, this is one that's been in development for a while, and this is going to be a Maverick title as well. However, we are going to be releasing this in single issues first. It's not like Good Game or World Class where they're original graphic novels. This is going to be released in single issues, 5 issues, and it's basically a fantasy story where set in a different world where a potions master, guy who does kind of like alchemy and does magic, is transported to our Earth in order to save his world from like this evil wizard. But he travels to our Earth in like circa 1990 Seattle, where like grunge is like the main music, right? And it's just like a really like it's a unique setting. It's one of those things where I first read it, I saw the art. I'm like, this is very different. This is not what I'm used to for this kind of story. And it just has like that like fun like that weird like funny like fun bright fantasy world, and then like the aesthetic of grunge, rock grunge meet. And you think that wouldn't work together, but it absolutely does into like this fun, exciting, wholesome story about family, really. And those are really the 5 main titles we have coming up for the first half of 2022.
So okay, so what it feels like to me is you guys are pretty heavy into your wonderbound imprint.
Maverick, yes.
Was that planned out?
Yeah, it was planned out. The first title was Neil and Thread, which released back in September,
Right.
followed by Nightmare Savannah in November, and we really wanted to like kind of like make like 2 books kind of like close to each other, and then have a wider gap to like kind of like have more room to breathe, so these titles could get those audiences going. And yeah, no, it was definitely planned out. And there's more Maverick titles for sure, and Macri titles definitely, especially towards the last half of the year.
That's awesome. So how about your regular books that have had long running title? Are there ones that are going to just keep on going? Are they slowing down?
So Battle Cats is like one of our first series ever is Battle Cats, our flagship series. That is actually ending. That's already on its 3rd and final volume, I believe. No, not I don't believe. I know next week is issue 5 of volume 3 of Battle Cats, and that's going to be 7 issues. So we got 2 more months, and that ends. Knights of the Golden Sun is in its 2nd volume right now, and it looks like we are going to be continuing with volume 3. So we are happy about that. And we are also continuing Show's End, which was a book we published back in 2019. That was like a big hit for us. I still talk to retailers sometimes when I ask them, "Oh, so what's your favorite like snack cave book of ours?" You know, and a lot of them say Show's End because it's just that uniqueness. They've never read a comic like that before. So I was like, "Oh, that's very pleasantly surprised." So we're definitely moving forward to volume 2 of that. And for ongoing, that's all I got. That's all we and Nottingham, as I mentioned already, is getting a second volume and possibly a third volume. We'll see.
Well, that would I could imagine that there would be many more stories you could tell in that universe. So I expect there's probably going to be more.
Oh yeah. Like I said, we have a lot planned. One thing we are doing is that like we have our annual talent search. So every year we have a talent search looking for artists and writers that have never been published before. And this year's winners, we've selected 4 writers, 4 artists, and they're going to be working on Nottingham anthology series.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we're really pushing this world, even though it's a real city, but this world that we've crafted of the Robin Hood mythos, and really making it our own. And all credit to the creative team, David Hazan and Shane Connery Volk, who just absolutely killed it. They were both talent search winners, and it was just like lightning in a bottle with those two.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
So
really excited.
What are you reading right now? What is on your desk pile to read?
It's a long list. It's a long list. Right now I have a lot of like trades on my desk I need to read. But Department of Truth is one I'm reading right now. That's James Dean is one of my favorite writers. I'm also reading A Man Among You, which is a top book. It's just a fun pirate adventure series. This is, I don't know, it's one of those books I just like, no one talks about it, but I have a good time reading. There's also, I recently checked out, I only read the first issue, but because of we hired Andrea Muti, I started Bunny Mask. And I like the first issue. I just need to find the time to read, which is always the main issue.
You need to also read Devil Chicken if you like that one.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing ads for that as well. Yeah, there's just so many books. Recently I finished Barbaric from Vault, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, Michael Morrissey. I hope I pronounced that right. It's great, and Nathan Gooden on art. Yeah, that's definitely a great book. I can't wait for more of Barbaric, honestly.
Really hard to not like a smack talking axe that needs
right?
blood.
Yeah, he gets drunk off blood.
Right.
That's the fun. That's like really where the fun part was. Yeah, no, he was great. And
so maybe if people were going to follow you, where is the best place for them to follow you on social media?
So I am on Twitter. That's primarily the place I'm at. I should be on there less, admittedly, but I am on there. You can follow me on Twitter at Manny_Castell, Castell. And you can follow Mad Cave on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Mad Cave Studios. That's where, same name for every social media platform.
Perfect. Thanks everybody for joining us today for this awesome talk with Manny. Manny, we'll definitely have to have you back, especially when we get to the back half of the year, so we can know what to look at, all of those cool things.
I'll say there are going to be a lot more prominent creators that we're all aware of, that we all know in Mad Cave titles.
News. You heard a couple new things here first. Hardcover for our favorite book series and hot new creative teams. So thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned to the experience. We have more cool stuff coming up. I'll see you in a minute.